Welcome back to my life. This is I, Jazziel, with some Valentine's makeup. I don't know if the lighting, that angle was showing it too well. I tried some blush a little bit, and it just highlighted the texture on my face a little bit. So I'm like, okay, great. Let me just leave that alone. But I'm back. I had to take a little. I'm hungry. I had to take a little mini break, a little pause, a little slow down, relax. I made a post about me going on a break out of being in a frantic panic mode. What had happened was, and for context, I know I don't have to share all this information, but it's going to be like a short live stream. I'm doing laundry right now, and I'm like, it's 1:16. I haven't eaten anything, so I'm going to make a smoothie. But I have to study after this to fully catch up to this spring semester that I started late. But I live alone in a rented house that my mother is paying for because she's helping me. Because I'm a new entrepreneur slash holistic health practitioner. Now, what does that mean in relation to my YouTube channel or me going to college? Well, and this is why I want to share the story of why I made that post, being like, I'm going to take a break, I might not be back online. I had made a video this past Tuesday, and the reason why I'm saying my mom pays, for me to live here, and I live here by myself. My little brother and my mom use this for storage, and I live in the city next to this one. It's a very small town, very underdeveloped, but the cost of living is cheap. So, with that background being laid out, all right, the electricity cut off. I woke up, was getting ready before my 9:30 Zoom class, and the electricity cut off as I was in the bathroom. Obviously the lights went out, and then the heat went out at the same time, and it was a little bit colder. Right now we're having like some humid tropical storm weather, so nothing like it was today or yesterday even. So it put me in a panic. And I had went into overreactive mode, CPTSD, amygdala response, fight or flight response, and I was in panic for trying to do the math, because that was like 9-ish, 9:10. So literally just before the class that I had to do, with Wi-Fi on a laptop. So I needed electricity, right? So I was like 9-ish, and then like around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. So I'm not going to do the math, but that's how long I was in panic in. Hi. Hello. Yes, hello, everyone. I'm not going to really pay attention to chat because this live stream is literally going to be an explanation. And, I do have people that have followed me from TikTok and, my other social medias, but I condensed my social media interactions to a business Facebook page and a YouTube channel. I deleted Instagram. I don't use Snapchat. I can't even remember my login for it, honestly, quite frankly. But I was trying to just log in to delete the photos and like clear that messages and stuff, like delete the data, because I don't know, I have no clue what these social media companies do with the videos or the pictures when they're uploaded, and with the most recent news headlines, it's not really, thank you, I appreciate that. It says good vibes only. I know I said I wasn't gonna look at the chat, but yeah. So anyway, back on topic. I went into panic from 9:20 to like 6. So I'm like, okay, 9 hours of panic, crying. I went to the library here. It was open, thankfully, today, because it's run by volunteers. So sometimes the library is not open every day. That's why I'm saying that as well. Thank goodness it was open. And then on top of that, I was able to do my class. I was like, okay. I told my professor, I was like, just in case I'm not able to be here on Thursday, this is what's going on. I may join late or, that type of thing. So I let them know, and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine, no worries. And they let me turn my assignment a day late too, so super, super, super nice instructor. And he was like making jokes during the class, so I was like, oh, this is just what I need, to like get my mind off of things. But it was an English composition class, so it wasn't like super hard, but we're talking about poetry and the pie format of writing essays. If you want to look it up, you can, right? But anyway, so the library closed at 11:30 because they have a lunch that for the seniors around that time. So the volunteers come from the community center. At least 2 of them do. So they're like, okay, we got to close it up at 11:30. We might reopen again at 4 p.m. And I was like, oh, okay. So the reason that was such an issue was, I wouldn't be able to email my mother, which is the form of communication that I have. Other than like Facebook Messenger, I just communicate with people via email. And that's why when people are like, oh, do you do in-person meetings for counseling, or coaching, I should say, like one-on-one coaching, or do you do like in person, over the phone, on Zoom? And I was like, no, I don't have a phone that makes calls or texts, so I just do email most of the time, or meet them in person if possible. But I'm new to this, is the point. So I just got the personal trainer certification last summer, and then I was trying to put all of the things that I'm good at and that I have knowledge of, I do have a higher understanding of things, with the, let's just say, spiritual gifts that I have. I'm able to understand energy and synchronicities easier. But yes, that has nothing to do with the story. So I was in panic. I had charged the laptop a little bit so I could use it. But yeah, I had to just ask around. I was like, hey, do you know any other public Wi-Fi? I tried the clinic. They said, no, it's not public. They pointed me to the convenience store / gas station. And I went there with my laptop and my phone and my, all this stuff that I was using for class and such, just to my chest, crying, sobbing, hyperventilating, because I took it mentally. The CPTSD took it to, well, you're going to lose your scholarship. You don't have Wi-Fi, you're going to miss these assignments, you're going to miss this class, you're going to lose your scholarship, you're going to have nothing good going for you. And it's that wasn't true, but that was literally the feedback loop in my head for an hour. And it got a little bit worse after, but let me tell the story in order here. So I went to the convenience store. They had Wi-Fi. They explained I could stay and do my assignments. It's fine. I was like, okay. But the other issue outside of school was I was trying to find a job on campus. So I had recently just met someone the day before, on Monday, when I was on campus for my classes. I went to the gym and I trained someone, and they're like, oh, if you ever need Wi-Fi or, you want to study, You can come over to my place. It's no issue. And then I was asking her about, just stuff on campus, jobs on campus, because she's an upperclassman as well, and she does a bunch of the student enrichment support type activities on campus. So, really good that we met each other. And it was funny because both of us were getting kicked out of this like stretching, yoga type area in the gym. Like it had a bunch of stuff, but most of the people, they like do a warm up and then they go to that side of the gym to do like stretches. If you are not familiar with the layout of the gym that I'm talking about, I posted a video of me on the treadmill and walking around the track, and you'll see the layout. But anyway, so we both were getting kicked out of that area by the instructor, who was like, "Oh, I have a 6:30 class. No, you guys have to get out," and like just being really rude about it, So both of us left around the same time, and we were just walking around the track, and then I started talking to her, and then I was like, "Oh, yes, I'm a certified personal trainer, but I'm a holistic health practitioner." He's like, "Oh, let me train with you." So that's kind of how it got started, like super organic, super natural situation. Now, back to the story, right? I was supposed to have a call set up through Facebook Messenger. Set up through Facebook Messenger, and going over everything, right? So I was like, I need to just rinse this really quick. Or wash this for my smoothie. But anyway, so I had scheduled a call with them at 11:30. So I was like, okay, I have a class, but let's schedule it for early morning, before the afternoon, before the day kind of gets rolling, and talk about jobs on campus or like opportunities like that, because I'm trying to really socialize and get rid of the I don't trust people, lack of community, lack of friends situation. So I'm also going to college to create with my life coaching, neuroscience understanding. I'm actually also going to college to be able to, I could have put it in here actually, but, to create neuroplasticity so that my brain doesn't just stick with the childhood trauma of you're too much, but you're also not enough, but you need to be sheltered and, not really know anything about human kindness and unconditional love. It's really tough to have a good sense of self-image and self-worth when you've been projected on your whole life and told, stay in this bubble type of thing. And for that very reason, I would rather be a little fish in a big pond. I'd rather interact with people instead of being like the big fish in a little pond, which is how I felt with my family. So the call, I was trying to call or message this person that I trained, at the gym the day before, and say, hey, this is what's going on. Can we meet? Can we move the call up? Before 11:30, and then I just called at 11:22 because I'm like, the library is literally about to close. Like I had to at least try or let them know. They didn't answer. I was like, oh, okay. So I just left like an audio voice message, and then they called me immediately back. But that was when the library was closing. So the Wi-Fi connection I was even having at the library was not good on my phone. So it was just like really, really crazy for me. And I was like in panic, like fully in panic still. And I'm also in panic because I do not have a car. And it's like a lot of things just compiled that day for me, and whoops, it's the trash can. And I got to understand why I react in the ways that I react and how I'm holding myself back. Because after I got to the convenience store and was able to use their Wi-Fi, I was able to explain everything that was going on to the student, that I'm talking about, that I trained at the gym the day before. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's no problem if you can get on campus. You can totally stay here. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And she's like, yeah, no problem. Yeah. And it's like, even just that, even because she also pointed out to me, like when I was staying there as her guest for the 72 hours. That's also the rule. Like on campus, you can't have a guest for more than 72 hours. So I was also panicking because of that, which is why I'm like, a lot of things just compacted into like fear. And like my brain went from like, okay, I don't know what's going on, let me just wait to figure it out, to I'm gonna lose my scholarship, I'm gonna freeze at night because it's cold and there's no heat, I can't talk to my parents to help figure this out, I'm gonna miss my classes, like just literally spiraling, like worst case scenario, in general. Let me put this up too. And even though I do know like life coaching tips and like things that help like calm people down, with grounding techniques as a grounding coach, I'm just now putting all of this stuff together. And just now marketing myself, being able to put my business cards, in places that have like community donation type of areas, or like certain places on campus. I was also told I couldn't put my business cards at the wellness center that we do have on campus, which is supposed to be like mental health related, for students. And like, anyway, it was a lot of just feeling like I'm gonna die, really. So after the person was like, oh yeah, it's no problem, just get here, let me know when you get here though, I have to be somewhere at this time, blah blah blah. And I was like, yes, absolutely, I need to pack my stuff, I need like an hour or so, but I'll let you know when I get back to the convenience store to use their Wi-Fi. They're like, okay. And we made a plan, and I went back still crying, still sobbing. I had emailed my mother like, hey, what did you cut off the electricity? Like, what happened? What's going on? I need the Wi-Fi type of thing for class, which she already knew that. She literally knew that already because I had sent her my everything. Like, oh, okay, I signed up for this class. I enrolled in this. I enrolled in that. And she was like, okay, I can help you with buying school supplies and like textbook stuff, because I have a grant that's paying for this semester, which is why I'm like, if this continues or it doesn't get fixed, I'm gonna lose my scholarship. I'm gonna lose my grant and not have what I planned, to fix me, quote unquote. Let's just say fix the gaps, because I'm not broken, but there's definitely social gaps and developmental gaps, and I've done my best to try to fix it and learn and just evolve out of certain mindsets that my family have not. It is what it is, but it's really tough still being reliant on them. Because, family is not the typical, okay, we're going to support you, we love you, give you a kiss, give you a hug, guide you in the right direction. Like, when I think of that, I'm like, oh, that's only on TV shows. Oh, that's only on movies. Oh, that's only, in this, specific circumstance. Because so many of the people I know, right, because we're on the same energy, we're on the same frequency, right, have CPTSD or some form of severe trauma from abuse. And it's like, I really understood more about myself from this situation happening on Tuesday. And like, I'm trying to create a new identity, but I'm also still doing self-sabotaging behavior. And like today as well, like which I'll get to after the story, but I went to campus. I was able to meet her at the housing apartments. She was like, "Oh yeah, I have a roommate. You know, of course, I have a roommate, but she uses it for storage, so she's not going to be here. But she doesn't mind anyway if I were to have a guest." Because she does like a Bible study, spirituality discussion with one of her friends there that I was introduced to. But yeah, so it was just very interesting because the moral of the story was that happened. Like my mom responded in the email after she finished with her class. You know, in the afternoon, and she was like, "Oh, I paid the electricity bill. Let me figure out what's going on." And then another update email, you know, later. Excuse me, whatchamacallit? Hey, you know, the electricity's back on. I had to pay $126 to help, not to help, to have someone come out and fix whatever was going on. I still have no idea other than, oh, someone had to come out and fix it. The fuse box was fine, you know, and my mom said she paid the electricity bill this month. You know, the water works. But I had recorded a video like saying I'm in crisis, you know, recorded a bunch of stuff around the house to show, and I'm like, I'm at my limit. I need to use all of my grounding and holistic health on myself. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to take a break. And that was before I had left, when I was packing my things into 2 suitcases and 2 bags, and the food I had in the fridge and the freezer with me. So, you know, I went back to the convenience store, went on campus, got a lift there, you know, met the person that was offered for me to stay there. She let me stay there, you know, until yesterday. But I tried to get an appointment at the wellness center, and conveniently, the counselor was out of office that day. So yeah, and then that was not a coincidence, right? Just like the electricity going out was not a coincidence. And later on, like in these first 2 days, we had really in-depth discussions about spirituality, our backgrounds, spiritual gifts, you know, trauma, things like that. And it's like, she's the exact same way as me, except she formed a, what is it called? Not a defense mechanism, but it's like a modified response. So, for example, we've both been through narcissistic abuse, right? And her thing is she will over-explain to someone because she wants to be understood and heard. She didn't have that before from her trauma, so she over-explains because of that. Me, my trauma was, you know, from not being heard or understood, so I get straight to the point. I'm like, okay, this is what's going on, and I kind of share things in a very dense way to get to the point. And it's like, okay, if someone else needs like a follow-up explanation or for me to say that in a simpler way, I can, but I like to get straight to the point and speak very, very intellectually. Also because people just underestimate me and think I'm stupid because I don't speak on what I notice or what I observe. And then I speak on what I notice or what I observe in the family or in like the people who married into the family, right? Like extended family. And it's like, well, you're confrontational, you're hard to deal with, you're like selfish, or you cause chaos. And it's just like people just don't want to be honest and look at themselves, you know. So that's why I'm like, it's hard to even live. Not even no family here. Again, no family, but I'm still reliant on family for stability in a sense. So because my stability was taken away before, and I was projected onto a lot, my brain went to, oh, my mom didn't pay the electricity bill, and I'm gonna get my scholarship taken away and have nothing, and have to just go back to working a freaking 9 to 5 restaurant retail job. So it was like everything that I've been working towards was on the line. For me, is how that felt. But again, if I had just waited a few hours, instead of like jumping to that conclusion, because I didn't have concrete evidence of any of the things I was thinking. It's just, hey, this happened in the past. What if it happens again? And because I'm not constantly talking to my mother or my parents, or any extended family like that, but because I'm not talking to them, um, you know, regularly, or again, I don't like have the full understanding of how my family actually feels about me. It just went to worst case scenario, and that's why I was like, I need a counselor. I'm in crisis. I need resources. I have unstable housing. Da 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 da. But it's, hey, the electricity went out for some reason, right? But again, I'm staying there at the student's apartment. 3 days go by, and I was manifested to her. I was supposed to have specific conversations and talk to her to broaden her perspective on very specific things. Obviously, I'm not going to share the conversations, obviously. But I was there just to meet them and talk to them and have an understanding that people actually do care. A stranger can be nice. A stranger isn't going to judge me and criticize me. A stranger can be a good Samaritan, right? And it was so fascinating because it's like, I didn't want to be a burden or anything. So I was like, okay, let me just get out of your way. And they're like, no, you can sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the couch. You could do laundry. Here, I'll pay for your dinner at the cafe. It's no big deal. I really like helping people. So, and they're a Christian. They say that, they're a Christian person. So it was like, wow, like I had also never met someone who acted as the church is actually supposed to. Like, and then funny enough, right? I'm doing my studies, checking stuff on my student account, checking my assignments and everything, making sure I don't turn in anything late, right? For like the other online class that I have, because they don't do a Zoom for it. But yeah, so I was like, okay, let me just make sure I'm still on track. And they were having that Bible study that I was talking about, like her friend and her in the living room, and I came out to just get something to eat that I had packed. And I was like, hey, is it okay to eat in the room? And she was like, no, and made a silly comment, like, and then I was like, oh, haha. He was like, yeah, you could eat in the room. So even she was like messing with me to just even get me to like lighten up, and I was like, wow, this is like that alone, like that experience alone with them like offering just so much kindness, and their doors open for me, that alone created a different thought pattern and process, and it helped create neuroplasticity in my mind of, I'm not a burden, I can be understood, I can be with someone, live with someone that has different views than me, that has different beliefs. Well, actually, we have very similar beliefs. It's just the whole indoctrination of God is a man or God is Jesus, like that fusion together. Like I don't believe that personally, but I've also deconstructed my religious trauma enough to separate the things I've gone through with the church and that group of people. Let's just say that religious group of people and who the creator is. Who spirit is for me. So my practices are wholly indigenous. I believe in animism, probably would be the closest thing. But I practice more Buddhist ways of living. And yoga has especially helped me calm down and deal with stress in a healthy way. But also, the thing that made all of this even worse was that I recently quit smoking and getting high. I had a substance abuse issue that I got to the root of, as well, with this, panic freak out episode that I had from the CPTSD flare up, is what they would call it medically. But I was using substances like from smoke shops, the THC, CBD, lab modified THCO, THCA, THCP, HHC, like all of that different stuff, right? Chocolate mushroom bars, like all that stuff. I realized that I was using those things when I felt out of control in my life. And then I was numbing or suppressing the feelings that were coming up and just being like, oh, I just had a hard day at work and I came home, didn't have time for myself. I'm tired, my body's tired. I did all these chores, when I would not be living with family, like living with roommates, renting rooms, I'm saying, before last year. And I realized that. I got to the root of that. It's like I was doing that because I didn't feel like I was in control of my life. And I just wanted to get away from the life I was living instead of taking responsibility and being like, you know what? I have anger management issues and I have substance addiction issues. And that stems from, how I was formed from childhood. And it's like, I finally got to the point, I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I don't want to just keep reliving and feeling like I'm just some wounded inner child all the fucking time. Like, man. But then it's also like, are you practicing what you're preaching? Because for example, I love Megan Thee Stallion. A huge Megan Thee Stallion fan, right? But they don't eat meat. They're like, oh, I'm vegan, I'm this, I'm that, health journey, fitness journey, awesome, cool, fantastic, right? But they open up a Popeyes restaurant. And they're, obviously that's fried chicken, fried foods, complete opposite of their lifestyle, right? And I was getting ready, listening to Megan Thee Stallion as I was putting on this Valentine's makeup. And they were like, oh, I don't do, what was it? It was like every Monday they go and wait for the freestyle. Stop effing rappers. They spill all the details. Something like only designer, I cannot do the retail. And then they came out with like a swimsuit line that was like in partnership and distributed through Walmart. So it's like they themselves, their beliefs, their habits, whatever, didn't, like, it doesn't match up with how they live or how they're currently living. Which, obviously celebrities, musicians, rappers, whatever, it's a facade. Like their lives are literally a facade, right? And I forgot about the smoothie as I'm talking, but it's a facade. And it's like, if I'm someone who keeps talking about, getting over trauma, using holistic health techniques to, calm yourself down, affirmations, EFT tapping, all these things that I'm talking about, like, yes, you can overcome whatever. And then it's like, yeah, I'm just getting high and avoidant and not really forming relationships that are long lasting. It's like, hey, I'm putting on a facade. I'm being that fake celebrity in a sense, And it was a lot of purging that was happening emotionally for the last 72 hours for me. And another thing that I learned, but I'm gonna blend this first and then come back and share. I need to stir it now. This stuff is melted a little bit. Alright, so yeah, what I realized was I'm not really practicing what I preach, and I do still practice self-sabotaging behavior because I'm like, I don't like it, and I just want to disconnect, either from a person or a situation. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this, and I just disconnect, right? And the really big issue with that was avoidant behavior was a coping mechanism. So I need to form, right, just like the substance abuse, it was a coping mechanism, right? You feel like you cannot live life without a crutch or without something there to support you, right? And I'm going to put some ice on the top instead of more water. I don't want to water it down either. So I was like, okay, I need to form, healthier thought processes and healthier thought patterns, so I'm not in crisis over this thing. Granted, I think all of the issues that come from mental health stem from lack of stability or financial instability, right? Because you could have a family, right, that cares for you, that tells you, oh, you're great, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. But if you don't have money to take care of yourself, like buying water for the house, having water in the house that's clean and purified instead of drinking tap water, right? It's going to start to affect your kidney, your liver, your digestion, right? Your skin. And if you don't have enough healthy foods, right? Talking about places that have food deserts, don't have a lot of produce, don't have a lot of herbs at all, right? Don't have a lot of things that are medicinal. They just have the hospitals, right? You're going to start to be affected differently, right? You're going to start to have a lot of issues later on in your life, but again, that's affecting the way that you function, in society, the way that your brain functions, the way that you show up in your relationships. Like literally everything is together, mind, body, and soul. So if one is off balance, the other is off balance as well, which is why I'm like, I want to combine everything and just be a holistic health practitioner, because I know how to help someone's mind change, create neuroplasticity. I know how to change someone's body, right? Losing weight, forming muscle, whatever it is, whatever your goal is, right? I know how to challenge limiting beliefs through specific exercises and practices as well. I know how to do that. I know how to cleanse myself spiritually, how to use the elements, right? Water, fire, air, the life, the breath of life that we have, spirit. I know how to communicate directly to someone's soul. I see past illusions. I do. I can look in someone's eyes and tell if they're possessed by a spirit of fear or if they're embodying love just by looking at their eyes. Right? So to me, I should never feel that way. I should never be in crisis or in panic at all. Yet that's where I was. And it's super interesting how I have neglected myself so much over the last few years. And I don't mean that to sound hard on myself, but it's like I was stuck in the spirituality, spiritual awakening, all this stuff about star seeds, listening to channeled messages, like so many things online, right? To get out of the politics, 9 to 5, drug culture, partying culture, whatever, and just went into hermit mode, and I was glued to the screen. And it was quite interesting, because now it's like I don't even want to listen to tarot readings or channeled message readings anymore, because I'm like, I feel like I'm to the point where I'm just tired of living the life that I used to live. And in, going into this self-sabotaging behavior understanding of myself, I also have an understanding that I scare people away. And that was a defense mechanism. As someone who's been through sexual abuse and trauma from family, mind you, because that's another level of trauma. Being sexually abused by a stranger, wow, that's horrible. Wouldn't want anyone to go through that. Very terrible thing to go through, right? But having that abuse from a family member, someone you trust, you don't even feel like you have to question, right? That's a different level of trauma. And I've donned the tattoo right here. The necklace is covering it a little bit, of non-binary, right? Because I'm like, I don't even want to identify as a woman anymore. I don't. I don't carry myself in the same way. So when I was staying with the student on campus for 72 hours, and she was treating me like a woman, like gendering me and like, oh, you burp like a man, oh, this or that, and talking about boys. And I was like, I almost said their name, excuse me. I was like, so and so, you sound boy crazy. Because she told me, she was like, I have these assignments and this other stuff and whatnot, but she was talking about the guy that she was on a break with more than, oh, this is the assignments, this is my schedule for the next few days while you're here, this is, that type of logistical conversation. It was a lot of emotions, a lot of conversation of the over explaining or on emotions. And I was like, wow, I forgot that I'm an attractive woman to some people in society, right? To other people, it's just like, excuse me, you're weird. And they steer away from me. And, I was having miscommunication with someone, but then I was like, also, for whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't know why. I thought they would be a significant relationship in my life, or a person that I could, call a friend on campus. Um, but it turned out I was wrong, which is fine. I'm willing to be wrong, but I scared them away, and I made sure to do this specifically because I was on campus and I saw them at the little computer lab. Um, and I don't know if they're watching my YouTube or paying attention to me at all, but it started off, oh, I need help with this assignment. I need a tutor. And I, did a few sessions to just make sure I did the assignment and the essay correctly so I can get a good grade, not worry about that class, so I can catch up in the sociology class that I'm still having to read chapters 4. because I'm behind in that class. But it's been 45 minutes, so I'm trying not to really go into too many detail about things. But anyway, he tutored me for a few sessions, and then um, I asked him for a tour around the campus and like the students' perspective of things like, oh, this or that, what time and is the Wi-Fi good in this building or this, stuff like that, right? Um, and he showed me around, but then it was just certain comments that he was making made him seem like he was a pessimistic person and not a solution-oriented person. So I pointed that out, and then the second straw, if you will, for me, was during the tour. He was talking about the campus like student body president, and he's like, yeah, I don't get along with him. They're in the same grade also, so I'm assuming he has like a class with him or something. But he was like, yeah, I don't get along with so and so. I was like, really? I like him. He's a great president. He answered all my questions that the student enrichment center couldn't answer. Like, why don't you like him? And then he didn't go into it. And I was like, oh, okay. Is it because he's on the spectrum? And he's like, no, it's not that. I was like, okay, well, if it was that, we wouldn't get along either. And I don't remember how the conversation shifted to something else, but that was like the second straw for me. And then the third straw was he ignored one of the questions I asked him. It was a very specific question. It wasn't like, what's that building over there? It was a very specific question. And he just ignored it and kept talking. I was like, hey, what the heck? Like, he just ignored me. And then he was like, kind of backtracked, and he was like, oh, like, I don't know if he thought it was a big deal or not. But yeah, so that was like the third straw for me. And then after that, we had like a brunch, I guess, at the cafe. And I was talking to him. I was like, he asked me how I got into the holistic health practitioner thing, and because I gave him one of my business cards, so he contacted me through Facebook Messenger about what time to meet for the tour and whatnot. So anyway, I did not check Facebook Messenger, and I went on the tour, and I arrived on campus at 10. And in Facebook Messenger, he said, oh, can we push it to 11? So I think I rubbed him the wrong way because of that. But we were talking during this, brunch or whatever after the tour, and he's like, oh, I messaged you. I was like, oh, I didn't get an email or anything. He's like, no, it was on Facebook. I was like, oh, I don't really use Facebook. And that was genuinely because I don't get like notifications. Like, I don't have my notifications on, number one. But number two, it's like in doing the workshop last year, and oh, I'm a grounding coach, putting all this information together, I would post on Facebook because the small town, that's what they use to communicate or do announcements for business stuff. So yeah, nobody had reached out really. So I was posting about workshops and messaging people who were interested, but two of them were like, oh, I'm too busy working, I can't do it, but they were still in communication with me. And I'm like, well, this is, like a business page, so I kept it to business related topics. But two people in there, I had to like block and, disconnect that energy from, because they're just a little unpredictable for me. Personally, and just stuck in the 9 to 5 rat race mentality. So I was like, oh, I don't even want to put on my notifications. I don't want to think about this. And so that's my background, right? But he didn't know that. He just was like, oh, I see, methods of communication, Facebook Messenger and email. And he picked one. So I could understand where he's coming from with that. Like, oh, they didn't even check my message. Whatever, because when I went on campus at 10, I was like, oh man, I'm late, maybe he went home already, because we were supposed to meet at the library and he wasn't there. So someone inside, I asked them to like message him because he, works at the tutoring center in the library. So he's like, "Oh yeah, they said you can meet in front of, the dorm buildings." And I was like, "Okay." And I went over there, but he didn't mention anything before the tour about, "Hey, I messaged you. It's no big deal that you were late." Like, he literally waited until the tour and when we were sitting down at the cafe to say that. So after like I talked to him about that, I was like, "Oh, I don't use Facebook Messenger. I don't have my notifications on." I turned my face and because I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, I felt so bad. Um, but he was like, "Oh, it was on Facebook Messenger about meeting later today." But I was literally like holding back tears. Like, genuinely, I was holding back tears, and I just like turned away and I looked back and I was like, "That's a good lesson." And I learned the lesson. So I won't do that again. I'm sorry, you know, because I wouldn't have been panicking and crying and like, "Oh my gosh, first impression." Well, not first impression, but like, this is a new person that I'm meeting and I want to be friends with, on campus. So, because we're also the same age. But anyway, so I was literally fighting back tears and like I turned my face and I was like, "Well, that's a lesson that I learned this morning and it won't happen again. I'm sorry." And I don't know if he brushed it off or whatnot because after that breakfast, um, we parted ways um, so that I could do the other tasks and responsibilities that I had to do, and he had classes later. I think it was like close to 12:30 or 1 o'clock. I don't remember, specific timing, but I went on about my day, and whatchamacallit, the next day I was on campus. Um, I don't know if it was exactly the next day. Well, no, sorry. That was Friday. So I went on campus again and I saw him at the library and I was like, "Hey." And he was just like, he didn't say hi. He didn't say anything to me. So I was like, "Oh." And there was another time before that, he was walking behind me, like to the library to his shift. And he didn't say anything to me. But I was like, I noticed him behind me. And then someone greeted him from the front desk, like circulation desk of the library. And I was like, "Oh, like he was behind me this whole time and didn't say anything. Um, and then, I came downstairs and walked past the front desk. And that was when I was like, "Hey," like literally with a smile, like, "Hey." And he was just like, waiting for the librarian or whoever, whatever he was doing, right at the front desk. But he was waiting for someone. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. He didn't say hi back." And then I checked the messages. I'm like, "Well, I don't have any messages missed from him. No emails, nothing." And the next time I saw him, after that was when I was on campus again on Tuesday. And call it? I meant Wednesday, the day after I was in crisis and panic and all that. And I was going to the gym with this, student that let me stay there for 72 hours. And we were passing after the cafeteria, right? Having dinner. He was there in the computer lab. And I had felt a bunch of energy psychically at night, seemingly coming from him to me. And you could just use your imagination why you think I would be concerned feeling that energy at night. So, with that being said, I saw him at the computer lab and I was like, "Oh, that's him." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, I recognize him, this, and that." And I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I have to say something to him. I cannot, just let it go by." Because that energy was very potent, but I was like, I don't want to feel that way. I just met him, and in person, he's not really giving me, uh, hey, we're on the same page, or hey, we're friends, or hey, anything else. Literally, this guy's an acquaintance to me. So I was like, I have to say something, and I was like, hey, and he was like, oh, you're on campus today. So he remembered, like, oh, I'm only in class, da da da. This is my schedule. So he remembered, right? And oh, sorry, let me back up. That same day that I went to the library and I saw him, and I was like, hey, that same day, um, I had asked him, like, hey, I messaged you on Facebook, and he was like, oh, I don't use Facebook. And he said it with such a little kid smile on his face. He was like, oh, I don't use Facebook. And then he walked away, like he kept walking. So like maybe, he had a shift at the library or whatever, tutoring. But he literally said that. And I think he was saying that because I was like, oh, I don't pay attention to the Facebook notifications. So I was like, oh, maybe he was offended by that. Because all I said in the message was, hey, are you in this location on campus? Like, I'm not going to say it, but I was like, hey, are you blank? And I waited in the lobby outside of the little cafe. And he was in there. I didn't see him. That's why I asked him. But if he was there, I would have eaten at the cafe with him because again, he was the only one that I knew on campus at that time. So anyway, I'm saying all this to say, it felt a little passive aggressive after that tour on campus. And I don't know if he thinks that I just didn't want to give him my number to communicate directly, but I literally don't have a phone that makes calls or texts, like I said in the beginning of this live. So, and it's almost been an hour. Yeah, my smoothie is here, but yeah, excuse me. So that was literally just last week that happened. With the tour and the final tutoring draft, all that stuff. Just last week. So I was a little confused about, why he kind of said that. And that was Monday, and then the next day the power went out. So yeah. But fast forward, I'm back on campus on a Tuesday, and he was like, oh, you're here. It's not a Monday or Wednesday, you're here on campus. And it was at night. And the buildings lock at 7, by the way. So it was literally, I feel like I surprised him when I was like, hey, psst, psst, for him to come to the door as a computer lab because the door was cracked. So I was like, hey, psst, come here. And he was like, oh, you're here on campus. And I was like, can you stop thinking about me? And his expression changed. He was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, I could feel you strongly thinking about me. And it's pulling on my energy, especially at night, So can you stop? He was like, oh, okay. And I left after that to go catch up with the friend down the hall. And then we went to the gym later, and he was there. Funny enough. So I was like, oh, that was such a prideful thing that I did. But after that, he just completely switched his demeanor. Sorry, maybe not the right word, but his body language even to not communicate with me. Because I went to the library yesterday to get tutoring. Not really tutoring, but it's a plan your planner. So I asked one of the tutors at the tutoring center to help me, and he wasn't there at the time. So I was like, oh, great. I don't have to be awkward, run into him thing. But then he came in later and like just went to a different part of the tutoring center. But the person I had, they're like, oh, I can only do one class and help you, with your planner, but maybe someone else can help you. And he was there at the computer. So she went up to him, like he had headphones in. She went up to him. She's like, hey, do you think you could help? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, I'm not even on the clock. And I was like, that's weird because there are computers all over campus. You can do a quiet study cubicle and just take a computer and work on stuff also if you didn't want to stay in one room. Like, I just thought it was a little strange. So it seemed like he just didn't want to help me, and I got so frustrated because I had to walk to the other side of campus to get help from the student support center. um so yeah. And that was a huge waste of time. That was like 20 minutes wasted, going from the tutoring center up to that specific floor across campus. Like, okay, to that specific building on a certain floor on campus. So I was just, that was like the final thing. Like, okay, I'm just not going to talk to him uh, anymore. I definitely rubbed him the wrong way with that comment, like at the computer lab, like um, a few days ago, and then yesterday at the tutoring center. He's like, I'm not even on the clock, and that's it. Um, you know. Uh, and then at the gym, obviously, like he saw me. I'm sure he did. I wasn't paying attention to him, but the friend that I was with, the student friend that I was with, was like, "Oh, I think he sees you," or "Oh, I think that's him." And I was like, "Yep, that probably is him then." um, but like I deleted the schedule. Like he gave me his schedule when we first like when he first tutored me. He showed me his schedule. He's like, "Here you go. This is when I'm available." I deleted that shit after the tour thing. I just deleted that shit. I was like, "Oh, I don't even know if this guy wants to be friends with me if he doesn't want to communicate in the methods that I have to communicate, Facebook Messenger or email." Um, so yeah, I genuinely feel like now, after the fact, that maybe was a form of self sabotage, maybe just me being fed up with someone. Um, but yeah, I was like, wow, why now I have to just see this guy on campus and just feel confused, I guess. And the other thing, it was like if I feel confused about someone or something, I stay away from them. So that's why I'm like, oh, I have to see him on campus and you know kind of avoid him. So yeah, I don't think that was that's a friend or even person for me. But I definitely made it a point to express how I felt, and that maybe in a sense it was like, oh, you're making me feel uncomfortable, so he stayed away type of thing. Maybe that's how I came across. But I told him also after the tour, like in the breakfast that we had, I'm like, I'm a very complex person. Like if you actually, stay a friend of mine or, have a relationship with me for long enough time, you'll understand that I'm a very complex person. And I told him like I don't even want to assimilate to the culture here. Like going to college at 27 is the most assimilation I'm going to do in my life, So I told him like who I was, a little bit of what I've been through, but I'm like, I have CPTSD and I'm on the spectrum, so I'm a very complex person. Um, but I was like, maybe he's been through something similar, and that's why we were brought together for a little period of time. But yesterday I was leaving the library after studying, and they closed at 6, and I was like, oh. And he was at the little front desk with someone else working there, and they're about to clock out in a few minutes. I was just saying bye and like talking to the other librarian because she's been helping me with my questions and student account stuff as well. So just very friendly conversation, and he was wearing a hat and like literally was like with his hands in his pockets or like I don't know. Maybe I didn't memorize literally everything, but I just remember his stance was like this, like turned away from me, um like this is the front desk, right? Let's just say the phone is the front desk, right? And I'm facing the front desk, blah blah blah, just talking to the other person, right? And he's behind the front desk, like just like this, not even looking at me, um, and with like a very serious facial expression on. So I was like, oh yeah, he does not like me. Like he's rubbed the wrong way by me. So it was also very interesting to notice that, like the funny, silly banter, the not really taking life seriously kind of uh, approach or demeanor turned into like stoicism and avoidance. And I was like, oh wow, I did that. I did that very quickly. Within 2 weeks, I did that. And it was so crazy because the first time he tutored me, I had signed up for tutoring in the evening. And they're like, oh, we, after 3 p.m., we don't have anyone available until 6 p.m. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, sure, if that's the only option. And it was him. Someone else was originally supposed to tutor me for this English essay, and it got switched to him. So like there's a lot of things that have been happening that are not coincidental at all in the last few weeks of my life, and it's like the human understanding, the human version of me is like really like, and I meant like the shadow aspects of that, the shadow aspect, the unhealed, hardened, not hardened, but certain parts of my heart, I've had to work on in the last 2 weeks. And I realized only in this little isolation bubble for 72 hours, um, mentally, um, is that I do self sabotage relationships because I feel like if I can predict someone's behavior or predict someone's reaction to me, I feel more comfortable with them versus having to wait for things, having to um, deal with nuanced people or complex people, um, or people who are like, not complex people, excuse me, people who are very matrix minded, like 3D, money, sex, job, uh, video games, playing on the phone, podcasts, like stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm realizing this about myself through going to college and interacting with so many different age groups and people. It's like I do present myself differently, but I also am kind of reacting from a stance of the wounded warrior. And it's like, yeah, I've been through so much shit. Yeah, I've changed myself so much. Yeah, I've evolved, but like there's no more battles. Like there's nothing else to fight. And in my mind, I'm still trying to reprogram that, hey, you need to fight off this negative energy or this negative spirit that's coming at you from a family member, from someone you thought was going to be your friend, or the person that you're going to marry, or whatever. And I even have a past, of fighting off my own inner demons, getting lost in tarot readings, getting lost in TikTok uh, stuff that they're talking about with politics and conspiracies and aliens, getting lost in relationships, losing myself, having to find myself again, getting lost in trying to uh, work with higher spirits. And it was just trickster energy, trickster spirits, a few times. So very serious stuff that I've dealt with, and I genuinely I told him, like, going back to talking about the person I just sabotaged the relationship, right? I told him, like, hey, I just need a friend, like, I just need someone to help me get through, like, this little first few weeks of college life, answer questions that I have, be able to eat with someone if I see them at the cafe. I just need a friend. And I think maybe I also self sabotaged it because I felt like maybe he was just viewing me in a sexual way or in a way that was like flirtatious. I don't know if you want to say it that, but it was definitely some energy there, like that. And the other reason why I was like, why I'm so focused on this person is because I thought I saw a sign that he was, oh, he's an important person in your life. Oh, he's this, he's that. He's a soul family, like potentially a soul family person, like someone who's been through something similar to you, but is on the same journey, like spiritually. Because I saw he saw a black cat outside of the window, passing the tutoring area of the library, and I was like, "What?" And it was dark at night. The sun had already set. But he was like, "Yeah, I just saw a black cat by the window." And then later on, when he was pointing out the rec center or the gym on campus for students, he said, "Oh, I see a black cat again there through the trees." And like I wrote it down. Like I wrote it down in my notebook, like, oh, that was a sign, da da da, because I believe like I have like jaguar, not jaguar, what is it? Black Panther, Black Cat energy as well. And there's a specific goddess that I have worked with to be able to change and evolve, heal my heart and become, you know, more in the feminine energy, more fluid in my body, more grounded. So I was like, oh, that was a sign from them, the black cat. Okay, let me pay attention to it. And it was specifically after I met him and after the tutor was switched to him instead of the first one that was originally like on the appointment booking. So I was like, oh, and I just went, just completely lost the logic. Oh, this person may be important. They may be a part of my soul family. They might have, some similar experiences. Let me just focus on this connection. And then that's what happened. So I'm like, maybe the black cat thing wasn't a sign of this person might be in your life for a long time, soul family, but oh, maybe you need to pay attention to this person and how you interact with them, like warning sign. And I still haven't figured it out because, like, even if it was the first one, let's just say hypothetically, I made sure to create distance between us because I felt that specific energy. And obviously I confronted him and it was true because of the facial expressions and like the seriousness of the, oh, okay, after I said that to him. So I'm noticing a lot of things about myself and a lot of the spaces and gaps that I've been having, and I'm also currently healing a relationship with money and being seen right now. So I'm not going to talk about the things that I have in the works. I was also, Spirit wants me to keep things private, but to also not say too much to people because a lot of perspectives come from limited understanding of things. And if people don't understand things, they fear it. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, you don't act like a beautiful woman. I don't know how to understand you. I fear you or I reject you. And that's sad. That's a simple matter of things. But I'm also have never been in a position ever in my life to have stability of housing stability, food stability, financial stability, relationship love, community, stability, none of that. It's always been temporary because being, born from parents who had low self-esteem, didn't have a lot of intelligence and understanding of the world, and were not cultured outside of American culture. So, a lot of their ancestral practices gone, a lot of understanding of health not there, a lot of understanding about emotional intelligence not there. Um, and moving around every few years, being in the army, then my parents divorcing in 5th grade, then going back and forth between two different communities now, and yeah, just not really feeling like I want to do the 9 to 5 rat race, and also not feeling confident enough with my self-worth and my identity and my relationship to money that, oh, being an entrepreneur is hard. Oh, doing consultations or giving people advice for free. Oh, deleting social media and not making a podcast because of numbers and the money game and views and clout and all these things. And she was like, man, I just want to give up. I just want to give up. I don't even want to keep track of all these 1,500,000,000 different things that we have somehow determined and collectively still are going with. Hey, we need to have a digital life and a physical life. And we also have to stimulate ourselves to get through the day. And we also don't have that much time for ourselves because we have a job that takes up a lot of our time. Sorry, I thought that was a knock at the door for a second. I just freaked out. It was some noise behind the fridge, and it sounded like it was coming from the front door. I'm sorry. But it's just like, oh wow, all these things are coming up now that I'm in college. And it's like, I don't really want to post the same things that I've been posting, but also I don't want to look like I'm scatterbrained and like I'm just unprofessional. But also, it's like if I don't give all these details and almost overshare, the impact of the changes that I'm making isn't really felt. And I've started to like record more videos of myself at the gym to post later, and it's like there's not one thing that I want to be. And I'm a sociology major as well, so I'm understanding more of how the world and this, American culture works and society, because I wasn't given that understanding before. So I'm like, okay, sociology student and new on campus. Let's put them together, and think of it through that perspective, like study, look at things, have different hypotheses from the experiments that you're trying or from the different behaviors that you are exuding, right? I'm not acting like the wounded warrior or the scared, fragmented self or the hurt inner child, but it's also like, why am I so defensive? Why do I push people away just because there's friction? And it's like, oh, I don't want to give people the chance to hurt me like my family or the people that I've romantically pursued in the past. And then I had to catch myself also because mentally I'm thinking about, oh, this is what I did, this is how I sabotaged, and I had to stop myself because I was like, oh, I'm actually comparing him to my ex-boyfriend and how my ex-boyfriend treated me. And I was like, oh, let me not project onto them. Like, oh, like I haven't even hugged this guy, like it wasn't even romantic, nothing like that, but my brain associated his behavior and his like reactions to my ex-boyfriend. I was like, oh, I have some shadow work to do, as they call in spirituality. I have some shadow work to do. And then I was like writing and typing a bunch of stuff. on the computer just to like clear my mind, and I got everything resolved on campus and like financially before leaving and coming back here. Obviously, the electricity is on, the water's on. I still have not made the smoothie, but that's what I've been going through. And maybe this is a better perspective, better angle for my makeup. But that's what I've been going through. That's what I've been noticing about myself. And I don't want my phone to die before this live ends, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up here. But I'm like, I'm new to this, so I do have to give myself grace. I do have to also give people, some grace too, not just like freak out and be like, don't talk to me, don't approach me, you know. But I have not been regularly meditating. I will say that. So these experiences kind of force me to be like, ground yourself right now, or you're gonna lose your shit, in a sense, right? But that's what's been happening with me. So, I really hope someone doesn't, who just found my business card on campus didn't just watch this live for the first time. Be like, oh, funny enough. Let me check out their content. Oh, this person is crazy, or oh, that's what this person is in real life. I don't know. I'm still trying to get over the being seen, being judged, being perceived. Especially as a non-binary person, like someone who doesn't go by gender roles. I'm having to do a lot of blending and assimilating to society right now. So it's a little bit of a trade-off though. Like obviously I know I'm gonna get a career in a bigger network, not even a different network, but a bigger network after I finish college. So 100K, 110K, whatever it is, is what the cost would be, based off of the numbers I've gotten for this semester. And hey, this is how you pay for your meal plan, your flex cash, your dorm, all that stuff, right? So yeah, like I was weirdly supported by my parents a lot more than in the past. My dad sent me money, double of what I asked him, to just figure something else out, But I am new to this. I am a new holistic health practitioner, and I'm trying to get curriculum and a different type of workshop together so that people can grasp the information and that I'm not just someone starving and asking my parents for money, realistically. But I also have a little bit of unclarity about who I actually want to present myself as online. And I feel like I've found myself enough to be like, okay, this is the direction I want to go in. But also, a lot of stuff online and a lot of stuff that gets pushed into the algorithm is either trends or it's super niche. So yeah. But obviously we know tech companies are bought out and our data is sold, to whoever, right? But I genuinely am. I'm just a naturalist. I'm an earth enthusiast. I'm someone who believes in the sanctity of life. I'm someone who believes in the power of the mind to overcome, right? And I'm someone who believes in a higher purpose, a higher calling, a higher knowing, a higher connection. And again, I do have spiritual gifts that allow me to see things from a higher perspective or from a more spiritual perspective. So I'm having to find the balance right now, and I feel like my heart was definitely weighed against the feather this past week. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I'm holding my tripod and balancing the bottom of it on my foot. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here. That's the update. I will try to make a schedule after I've gotten a little bit more of a footing with college assignments, turning things in, deadlines, essays, whatever, because even though I have 4 classes, it is difficult. Four isn't full time. You have to have 12 credits for it to be full time. I have 11 credits, but a lot of people have 5 or 6 classes per semester. I couldn't do that. That was too much for me. I was like, no. This is what I can handle. 4 classes right now, and it's 2 virtual, 2 in person. It's not even 4 classes in person on campus. So even with that 4 classes, like, I'm lucky that one of them I'm dictating my schedule and when I study, when I, read this assignment, when I do this quiz, during the week before the end of the week deadline. So that's my life right now. My only goal this year, realistically, is to just glow up and have literature that shows and reflects, like, hey, this is what I've learned, this is what I've been able to put together, but I'm genuinely not in a position to pay to promote my content, to pay for a phone bill and keep up with it. Like, I have a credit card bill that's my only bill right now, and to, like, pay for food and water, stuff like that. But I have food here at the house. I don't really need to go out to eat and pay for stuff like that. But anyway, all this oversharing, I hope, is making sense why my page is the way it's laid out right now, what's been going on with me. And this is also mostly a live stream for Javante, one of my very close supporters, and the only person I would realistically call a friend that is a guy. But I only have 2 friends. One of them is a pen pal, which is Javante, basically. And the other one I just trained at the gym, and they let me stay for 72 hours in their housing on campus, to help make my life easier. So yeah, but I helped them because they were also moving. And funny enough, something happened. They're like, oh, I just heard from housing, this room specifically, nobody else on the floor, but this room, something's wrong with the room, and they have to clean it and fix it. But I just got a job on campus, like, not a student worker job, like actual faculty job, and they stay in different housing, and not student housing. So she was moving that weekend. She's like, yeah, I was gonna probably move on Monday or so, but then the housing told her, oh, something's wrong with your room, we need to move out. So yesterday I helped her sweep the floors and, like, wipe down some the handles and countertops and stuff. So I did my part, right? And from what I could give, right? I gave them the grounding coach, spiritual mentorship, personal training, life coaching, all of that, right? So, I told them, hey, I just made it home. I know there was, like, a bit of friction between us, but I value you. I'm paraphrasing, but I was like, if you ever need any help or any guidance on these specific things, feel free to reach out. I hope to see you on campus again, So yeah, like, that was a really intense, like, introduction to a friend, but, that's also just, they manifested me, and the universe did certain things to make me, not make me, but to put me in that space to help her, and in that literal physical position to be able to help her with the spiritual stuff that she had, I guess, questions about. But yeah, so a lot of very interesting things have been happening, and I'm trying to get more into the artistic, expressive side of things. That's why my makeup is like this for Valentine's Day. But yeah, I have to focus on school and the priorities of the 3D, if you want to say it like that, and find time now to exercise and meditate because it's like I need that for stress management. I need that to feel balanced. So I am definitely practicing what I preach now. I'm tired of getting high, and I'm trying to also live on campus in the dorms. I haven't heard, when that's available yet. I already submitted all my paperwork and the finances for the deposit, but like if I were to live on campus, I wouldn't have to worry about transportation, and it's a dry campus, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no smoking, nothing. It would help me to stay sober, and be able to use a gym, right? Every day. So, and the library, to study. So, overall, I know that that's probably going to be the outcome this year for sure. Just waiting on things and trying to evolve a little bit more in this time of my life. But I'm gonna end it here. I have a smoothie that's an hour and 31 minutes ago I started making. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. I wish you all the best. Again, if you're new to my page, hello, I'm Jazziel. I'm a holistic health practitioner, grounding coach. These are the business cards that I have. But yep, that's me. I'm a new holistic health professional, but I'm working on the professional part still. So please give me grace as well. But yeah, I do one-on-ones. I don't really do like programs for everyone or selling like I don't know. I have to also work on the capitalist sell thing. Um Marketing, all that stuff. Yeah. Uh too loose. But yeah, that's where I am right now. So if I do actually take a longer break, that's what I'm going through. That's the deal. That's the situation. Um, I do have to assimilate a little bit more now. So yeah, but I do still want to post like the exercise content, the shorts, whatever. Um, so yeah, trying to have good vibes only moving forward. But yeah, it was very challenging being on that low of a frequency. Extremely dense energy. Oh my gosh. That's why I'm like, I was definitely purging my heart, like something from my heart. Man, like I know moving forward, I'm not gonna have that happen anymore. Like that literally shifted my brain and the way that I was thinking. But thank you guys so much for the people who are here. For the likes, the 4 likes. Thank you. I didn't really look at the viewership, to be honest. I see there's comments here, like I scrolling through. Oh, someone said Happy Valentine's Day. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I have to have this smoothie now and finish my laundry and read like 6 chapters. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing. I hope you all have a day filled with love and joy and peace. Yes, Javante, I was just talking about you. Happy Valentine's Day, friend. But I am getting off live, so please watch the recap. But to everyone else who's watching this, not either, but watching the recap, thank you so much for being here. If you've gone through anything that I've gone through at all, you're not alone. You can make it through whatever you're going through. I believe in you. Sending much love to you, but also
I'm asking for love to be said towards me, please, and grace. I never claimed to be a perfect person, but right now I am going through some purging heart activations. And I just don't want the same thing to repeat right back at you. I love that little heart emoji there. But yeah, thank you so much for understanding. And a lot more content is going to be informational and like these specific things, these specific exercises, these specific practices to help you holistically and naturally, right? I did very much so like posting, oh, YouTube short about this herb or this fruit. I'm still going to do that whenever, I get the chance as well. But yeah, I don't want to say too much more. It's already been an hour and 35 minutes. I'm going to go make the smoothie and be responsible. Catch you later.